The point is I'm changing the incentive structure.
Yeah.
The hospital loses money when they treat people. Now you tell me, Shereen, if today 6.5% of people are getting hospitalized, what do you think will happen when I change the incentive totally? And I say the hospital loses money when people come to hospital.
Nobody's going to be kept in hospitals. Now let's talk about how you're going about doing this.
I think what we are doing is for our customers, at renewal, when their price goes up and they are suffering on claims, we're advising them to move to narrow networks. All I want to hear in my ears is that the social security problem, yes, this company is at the forefront of solving social security. I know I will not get this credit ever. That's the only credit I want.
That you solve for India's social security problem.
For India's social security problem in a very, very thought-through manner. If you want to solve for social security, you will have to solve for hospitals. There's no other way. These are only 4 products I talk about. I don't talk about a 5th. Health, term, child education, pensions. Health insurance and term insurance, 150 crore rupee market. The whole industry should have been doing that.
Yeah.
That was the most important product. So I thought I was the person coming in to solve the biggest issue that our industry had. So why would the regulator have a challenge with me? People have their vested interests because of which they make your situation harder and harder and harder.
What's the aspiration in terms of size, scale, and impact?
I think 4 years is 1 lakh crores of insurance premium. We are planning to start something in pension very, very soon. I say things which I'm okay to have an argument about. I don't say things which I'm not okay to have an argument about.
As a young person who's starting up today, as a young entrepreneur who's looking to start up today, what is it that you would tell them?
It's the same as my children, what I tell my children. I tell them decide. Decide has everything in it. It has commitment, it has direction, it has you have put blinkers on, you're not doing anything else.
In 2008, an encounter with a group of retired army officers led Yashish Dahiya to a stark realization that millions of Indians were investing their life savings without transparency, financial protection, or guaranteed returns. Now, that moment sparked the birth of PolicyBazaar, a platform designed to bring clarity to India's insurance market. And today, it's grown into a full-stack fintech powerhouse. PB Fintech, which is the parent company of PolicyBazaar and Paisabazaar. Hello and welcome to Young Turks Reloaded. I'm Shereen Bhan. With an omni-channel presence in over 200 cities, market leadership in term and health insurance, and a growing footprint in the UAE in healthcare delivery, PB Fintech now clocks around 30,000 crore rupees in ARR. The company went public in 2021 and is now PAT positive. Joining me on the show today is the man who's been at the heart of this journey, an IIT, IIM, INSEAD grad, an Army kid and an Ironman athlete who cycled through grit, clarity and conviction to build one of India's most trusted fintech brands, now ready to give shape to his next big dream, making quality healthcare accessible to India's middle class. Yashish Dahiya, Chairman and Group CEO of PB Fintech, many thanks for joining us here on Young Turks Reloaded. It's great to have you on the program again. Yashish, thanks very much for your time today. But, I want to start by talking to you about what I believe is one of the most important aspects of entrepreneurship. And that's endurance. And in many ways, your Ironman journey converges with the need of entrepreneurship, which I again pointed out is resilience, perseverance, and endurance. How much of this do you think comes from the fact that, like me, you're a 4G kid who's had to bounce around every 2 years, packing up, starting afresh?
I think that has a lot to say for it, because you take things for, things that are hard, you take them for granted. Like, many of us stayed away from our dads as we were growing up.
Yeah.
Because they were in field postings and we just thought it was normal.
Yeah.
That, dad would come home for 2 months in a year. And we used to change schools every 2 years. Today, when I talk to my kids, they are not willing to do that. I think many of the things we take for granted as army kids are actually not very normal in the, I would say, the civilian world. But I think that certainly tells you to get along and not make a fuss.
Yeah, it certainly does teach you to just get on with things. And I think there is an inherent sense of discipline. There is an inherent sense of duty as well, which I think you kind of grow up with subconsciously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You automatically feel the need to do the right things. I'll tell you a small anecdote. I did the half Ironman in Dubai at some point.
Right.
And I've done it many times. But at one point, I got off social media and all that stuff, and I did not post anything. Of course, I did not post anything. I did not even tell my own family that I had completed it. So Shikha, my wife, tells me that one day when we were just talking, that I know you did not complete the Dubai Ironman. You must have got injured and you must have stopped. So, and she said, show me the medal as proof that you have actually completed it. I said, Shikha, do you realize I have never not completed anything I have started. And that's just the way it is.
Well, so let's talk about what you started in 2008. And you were telling me before the show that people's perception is that this is a very easy business to do. But in 2008, and when I look back at that cohort of 2008, there was you, there was Dippy Goyal trying to do Foodie Bay, which then morphed into Zomato. There was the Bansals doing Flipkart. E-commerce and things like that. That was the sexy thing to do. Insurance, this sort of came out from nowhere. Why would you want to bet on a regulated sector? Why would you want to bet on a sector that, for all practical purposes, had the government's imprint all over it? What made you want to do this?
I did not understand regulation as well as I could have. That said, I would have still done it because it's sort of... to me, this whole making sure social security is there for the middle class in India is worth one life at least. So I feel very good that I'm spending my life solving that. So I would run it. But the only person who warned me about it was Sanjeev.
Bikhchandani.
Yeah, Bikhchandani. So when I met him the first time itself, he said, Yashish, do you realize this is a heavily regulated sector?
Yeah.
And regulation will be your biggest challenge. I heard him. I remember those words. I didn't give any weightage to it, any bhav to it. And I, because I did not know what it was. I had come from the UK.
Yeah.
And I was in a regulated sector. And the regulation was very light touch, right? They just said, do what is right for the consumer. That's broadly what the regulation says. They just do what is right for the consumer.
Yeah.
And what we were doing was the absolute right for the consumer. Think about it. Health insurance and term insurance was 150 crore rupee market. The whole industry should have been doing that.
Yeah.
That was the most important product. Today we all agree those are the most important products. The entire industry was not doing them. So I thought I was the person coming in to solve the biggest issue that our industry had. So why would the regulator have a challenge with me? I couldn't fathom that. But the moment you start walking, you realize that you're crossing wires at various stages, and it's a hard thing. And people have their vested interests, because of which they make your situation harder and harder and harder.
I wanted to close your eyes and go back in time and think about that one moment. Perhaps there is one defining moment where all of this business of people telling you you're stupid to have considered doing this, why are you doing this? It's regulated, so on and so forth. It's hard stuff. Is there one defining moment where you felt that this is worth going all in on, and there was almost a validation of your hypothesis?
I don't think that kind of ever happened. I did it because I needed a job. I didn't have a job at that point. And I had to do something. So I was actually looking for a job back in the UK. And at the same time trying to do this. And genuinely, I was not super convinced about this. The real reason it happened was because my colleagues were a little more convinced that me and them should do something together. And even today, the validation is not there. I don't think anybody says out there that, oh, Yashish has really solved for social security in a big way.
Yeah.
All I want to hear in my ears is that the social security problem, yes, this company is at the forefront of solving social security. We have 300 million people in our country. We have 30 million people in our country who, like you and me, speak English, live English, they travel abroad, they have credit cards, they are well off. Then there's 300 million who earn between 50,000 rupees to 1.5 lakh rupees a month as a family. Okay? They're not poor. And they don't want to send their children to poor schools. They don't want to send they want to give their children good education.
They want the private infrastructure.
They want the private infrastructure, right? But the private infrastructure can set them back. The private infrastructure has been designed for the 30 million, not for the 300 million.
Yeah.
And that's our problem. And that is what I'm solving for, right? My only hope is at some point in my life, and I know I will not get it. I already know it. I was speaking to Sanjeev the other day. And I said, I know I will not get this credit ever. That's the only credit I want.
That you solve for India's social security problem.
For India's social security problem in a very, very thought-through manner for maybe 30 years. 17 are over, maybe another 20 years, right? And yes, you got this right.
So here's the interesting part. You're saying you're already assuming that you're never going to get the credit for it, and it's probably
that's
also
the only thing I want.
And that's the only thing you want. And yet you've decided to now pivot to another business which is seen as complex, which is seen as highly regulated, and you're trying to now solve for India's healthcare problem. I mean, who does that?
If you want to solve for social security, you will have to solve for hospitals. There's no other way, right? What is, just look at the Europe, let's look at Europe. Look at the government spending. What is the highest amount of government spending for? It's for healthcare.
Yeah.
It's roughly 13-14% of GDP. And they do quite an efficient job from a government standpoint. It's not totally inefficient, right? You need that kind of money to solve for healthcare, right? Now, for this 300 million people, today, this person is earning 50,000 rupees a month. Saving is about 50,000 rupees a year. Right? You're talking about that person buying an insurance policy and going to a hospital where the per night cost is 78,000 rupees.
Yeah.
How's that possible? 6.5% of anybody who buys an insurance goes to hospital. That's the actual data in India, 6.5%. They stay in hospital for a little over 3 days. That means for every 100 people, 20 room nights are used.
Yeah.
Right? If the room night's going to cost 50,000, how is it possible? Right? The person can't afford it. Because 10,000 has to go for this. So basically, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And our problem is multifold. Insurance is also, remember, this 300 million people we are speaking about are a people who have very low trust. And they also, once they are ill, they really want to buy a health insurance policy somehow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they also are able to try and navigate the system to try and get a policy with some kind of false declarations. That does happen. Let's not walk away from the reality.
Yeah.
Right? There is a risk out there. And so how do you solve for both disclosure and cost at the same time? It's impossible to do it without, in some way, having a narrow network of hospitals.
Yeah.
See, today there are 14,000 hospitals. If I tell you, Shereen, you can go to any hospital you want to, whenever you feel like. You have a little malaria, you go and sleep in a hospital. That hospital, because it wants to make a little more money, puts you in the ICU for some time. Right? Who can argue with a doctor that, look, you're over-treating, you are over-indexing on various tests?
Yeah.
You can't. They're medical professionals.
Yeah.
So they're always right.
So how are you going to solve for that?
You're changing the incentives. Today, the incentive is, look, whatever we say, the incentive is, if you do an operation, you make money. It's very simple.
Yeah.
If I go to a hospital and they look at me and they say, Yashish, you're very good, go back home. They make no money. But if they say, listen, Yashish, you've got a problem in your heart. You've got 75% blockage or 80% blockage. It'd be good if we put a stent through. Right? In fact, you've got this in 3 arteries. We'll do 3 stents, all separately. And I think the hospital makes money. Now, that's the incentive. That's the incentive problem. I'm trying to get to a position where the hospital does not make money by putting the stents.
So how does the hospital make money?
I pay the hospital 10,000 rupees at the beginning of the year. I may not fall sick. That is full profit for the hospital. 10,000 rupees in the hospital, and you do not have to make money. I fall sick. I go to the hospital. I suddenly need surgery. When I have the surgery, it costs the hospital.
Yeah.
They don't make money. It actually costs the hospital. Now you tell me, Shereen, if today 6.5% of people are going to hospital, are getting hospitalized and staying in hospital for 3 days on average, what do you think will happen when I change the incentive totally? And I say the hospital loses money when people come to hospital.
Nobody's going to be kept in hospitals.
Do you realize the 6.5 will automatically come down to 4? Do you realize the 20-room nights have suddenly become 8 to 10? Totally affordable. And that is what we're trying to solve.
That's not a small change, Yashish. This is a massive change that you're trying to bring about. The idea to get people on board with this, the medical fraternity on board with this, the current corporate hospital infrastructure to kind of see what you're doing. I mean,
No, I'm not trying to get anybody on board.
Yeah.
That's why I'm setting up my own hospitals. And we'll hire our own doctors. And that's why we are leaning a lot towards the army, because retired army officers who have been doctors, we are hiring a lot of those people. And we are hiring young doctors who like this idea. We're both Army, Air Force kids.
Yeah.
Why do our parents have to go to a doctor to take for any planned surgery and get their permission to go to hospital?
Yes.
Why do they have to do that? You tell me, why do they have to do that?
Because the government's footing the bill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The reason you have that gatekeeper is because the gatekeeper is essential to make sure that the costs don't go out of whack.
Yeah.
And there's no misuse.